Why does it feel like we're not voting for leaders anymore? We're crowning kings. From Trump to Modi to Putin, this isn't politics, it's mythology. In this video, Priyansh and I peel back the curtain on how modern democracies are quietly slipping into monarchies and why people are cheering it on. Why does it feel like some political leaders today are treated more like celebrities or even gods than actual public servants?
Because people want their gods. That is the point. I mean, ever since World War II ended, people have sort of lost their godly figures. When you see nuclear weapons being run, when you see when anything of that magnitude happens, where morality itself loses value, that people can be killed like houseflies, that is when everything collapses, right? And then you have to build new structures, new deities, new gods. For a while, it was social movements for sure, and as we started progressing, it became technology. But slowly by slowly, and I think as we were moving towards the ages of terrorism, as we were moving towards the ages of technology, things were moving so fast for the average person. It didn't they needed some sort of anchoring, and that is around when all of these different sort of leaders around the world started getting popular as figureheads. Maybe even Putin is one of them. In India, it's Modi. In USA, it's Trump. And after COVID, that has only started ramping up more, because COVID also was like a cultural traumatic event which caused everyone to go into shock. And when you go into shock, you are at the ultimately within yourself, you're a child, so you look for the adult. And an adult can come in the form of a deity, or it can come into a form of a figurehead. Hell, what is even the difference between an adult, a deity, and a figurehead? So these figureheads are now becoming like gods and adults to everyday people.
And what's wild is these figureheads don't even need to promise solutions anymore. They just need to feel like stability, like someone who gets it. Because in the chaos post COVID, post globalization, post internet fracture, people aren't looking for complex plans or nuanced perspectives. They want certainty. They want someone who feels immovable when everything else is liquid. And Trump, for instance, thrives in that. He doesn't behave like a politician, he behaves like a myth. The exaggerations, the villain arcs, the blind loyalty, even the dramatic falls and returns, it's all narrative structure. He's less of a leader and more of a cultural god archetype in the modern psyche. So let me ask you this. If gods were born to calm chaos, is it possible we're not electing leaders anymore? We're summoning them?
We're not. We're not electing people to do a job at this point. We're electing monarchs at the end of the day, because a monarch is very much different from a government servant, from a president, from a prime minister. Those are people who are there to serve public in the capacity of power for a limited period of time, and public votes them into consideration into those positions of power, not for them to rule, but rather for them to cause certain changes, to bring certain policies that the public wants, right? Public gives their own power to a figurehead so that they can enact all of those things. That is not happening anymore, because people do not even know what they want at the end of the day. People are disagreeing amongst themselves. They just need some sort of parent to tell them what to think. Not They don't know how to think, they want someone else to direct them, a godly figure. And that is why everyone across the world is trying to elect monarchs. They're not trying to elect presidents anymore.
Exactly. And the scariest part is, monarchs don't need to follow rules. Monarchs are the rules. So when people start treating elected leaders like divine appointments, everything flips. Accountability dies. Debate dies. The illusion of choice stays, but the emotional need underneath is loyalty, not democracy. It's almost like we're rerunning human history, but with better cameras. So then the real question becomes, do people want freedom? Or do they just want the feeling of safety from freedom? What do you think?
People don't want freedom. People have never in the history of civilization ever wanted freedom. People just want to be safe, secure, and comfortable. It is encoded in our DNA. What the hell is survival in the first place? What the hell is proliferation of the species in the first place? You want to live long enough so that you can reproduce and give birth to the next generation, and you can make sure a species survives. At the end of the day, everything comes down to it. Everything else is a distraction either, or everything else is just a abstract way of reaching that ideal. And the ideal is, I should be comfortable, I should be safe, I should be able to have a family, kids, and I should live.
Exactly. People chant freedom, but what they're really chasing is security with options. They want just enough freedom to feel like they're in control, but not so much that they have to face the terror of choice alone. Too much freedom is anxiety, too little is oppression. So, they beg for a god king who tells them what's right, while still letting them feel like they chose him. And the wild part? Even revolution is about comfort. The discomfort just hits a threshold where not revolting becomes the greater pain. It's all survival math dressed up as ideology.
Exactly. And the point is, this whole coming back of monarchy, when there is uncertainty, is always going to be there. I think monarchy was even proposed by certain religions. Even the Vedic cultures were proposing that if there is not a proper monarch for the land is not prospering. Because I feel like when in terms of uncertainty, you want a figure to hold that sort of power. And once prosperity and economy and things get to a certain level, and that is only then, when you get to a certain level, is when you want more about the public, you want everyone to think for themselves. And that is the reason democracy is something that came on a lot later on. In fact, I think industrial revolution and the coming of democracy are quite interlinked with each other, to the point that either one led to the other, or the other one led to the other. But the point is, they interlocked. Once industrial revolution was in full swing, democracy slowly and suddenly started proliferating across the globe after a couple of centuries, which means that it is when people are secure and comfortable within themselves that they do not require a monarch. But the moment things go bad, that means they require a monarch, which means if you actually want to rule people, all you need to do is create a situation where people are in a state of disarray, chaos, completely feeling like there is no comfort and security, and then offer the hand that yes, you will be the one to offer them security and comfort.
Exactly. You don't even need power to start with. You just need instability. Fear is the perfect soil for monarchy. You plant the seed of chaos, and people beg you to build the walls around them. That's the blueprint every strongman leader has followed. Manufacture or amplify uncertainty, and then present themselves as the only stable constant. And you're right, democracy is a luxury belief. It thrives only when basic needs are met, when economies are growing, when people can afford the time to think about policy. When those conditions collapse, people don't want nuance. They want a savior.
Exactly. And what do you do when you do become the savior, when you do get that power, but you want to retain it, or you want to increase it? You increase the discomfort and keep offering yourself as the salvation. I mean, not to name certain leaders, but certain leaders in America are doing this exact same playbook. Even certain leaders in India are doing this exact playbook. They create discontent within the people. Now they do it through social media, and they do it through polarizing people more and more, because now it is so much easy to simply polarize people by showing people different things, so that their minds are warped in order to see the world as black and white and pick a side. And once they pick a side, you can start appealing to one side, because even if you have 50% of the votes of the country completely on your side, immediately you rise to power. And more and more and more power can be acquired by just increasing that fear a little bit at a time, until and unless until to the point that your power is not just basic power, your power is so much that the state itself collapses onto you, and you yourself become the power. And that is how dictators are born, and that is what is going on alongside a lot of countries. And even the strongest economy in the world is going through just that, a collapse into dictatorship.
And that's the scariest part. When fear becomes identity, the crown isn't stolen, it's handed over. Leaders don't have to seize power anymore. People beg them to take it. That's how democracy slowly decays. Not with a bang, but with applause. So pay attention, not to the headlines, but to the patterns. Because once you see them, you can't unsee them. Stay sharp, stay aware, and remember, patterns are everywhere.